actually lesson 3, but we're going to call it lesson 4. This is going to be lesson 3. I'm such a flake. I did twice the lesson on swords, so there's 2 swords lessons in these videos. And actually I'm going to do the staves and coins, and it happens. But that's cool because every time that I do these lessons, I learn something else to do myself. So that's cool. I don't worry much about it. I can handle it. I think we have to do staves now. So hopefully we'll have 3 or 4 different staves to watch. I'm doing that. I'm separating them from the deck so we can go and discuss them one by one. Alright, we found out that cups is the element of water, swords is the element of air. Now what element do you guys think staves would be? What can you do with kindle wood? What can you do with firewood? What can you do with a stick? Wooden stick? You can burn it. So staves are the element of fire. Passionate part. Also, staves represent the roots, the root of the problem, the root cause, and the roots of your family. Staves are a family-oriented card. They got them family values, right? Staves are a masculine entity, masculine card, I guess you could call it. And they also represent the penis. The Ace of Staves represents the penis. As do swords. Swords also represent the old pickaroo. Well, let's just go one by one here. Speaking of penises, what does that look like to you? Oh yeah. So I might have been playing with a little wiki week. Alright. Ace of Staves. Listen, I've been doing this for 11 years. I've been reading cards here in this town for 11 years. And when you start reading cards, you get a feeling about people. And I always thought this was meant victory. Like, oh yeah, you're going to triumph, you're going to be victorious endeavor. But then, I started reading people's faces and people's auras and all that other subtle imaging that you have to acknowledge in a tarot reading. And I came to realize that when this card came out, 90% of the time there was a baby on the way. And the baby was going to be a boy. Just like with the Ace of Cups, there's always a little girl on the way. This card, 99.9% of the time, is telling me this person's going to get pregnant and they're going to have a boy. And historically it's worked for me. I 11 years reading cards, and it still comes out that every time a young girl pulls that card out, man, or she's pregnant or she's going to be pregnant pretty soon, and it'll be a boy. So I know that card represents the birth of a male child, and that's cool. I'm cool with that. Are you cool with that? I'm cool with that, man. Oh, I didn't pull out the 2 of... Oh, here we go. So, other meanings for that card could also be triumph, being successful in an endeavor, starting a new endeavor, that type of stuff. But 99.9% of the time, It's just a little boy coming on the way. See that guy? See where he's standing? See what he's looking at? I've always liked to think of this card as Christopher Columbus looking at his world map, which in this case was a sphere, a round world map, a mappa mundi, the first map mundi, the first world map made by a European. And there's some theories out there that there was some Arabs and some Chinese that had already figured it all out, and they had come down to this end of the world, which is like Mexico and the United States. They had crossed their oceans. But for our purposes, for our historical purposes, let's keep it simple. That's Christopher Columbus. He's looking at his world map. He is on his side of the Atlantic, which means Spain and Italy, and Corsica, I guess. Where do you start the voyage? It's Spain. Anyways, he's looking at his map and he's going, I know there's another way to cross that ocean. I just know we're not going to fall off. And nobody believes in him. Nobody thinks he's right. So he goes to Queen Isabella and he says, "Look, Isabella, I got a strong feeling here that the world is round, and here, I'll show you this map. And if we cross over to the ocean, we're not going to fall off, but we're going to end up in India." And she says, "Well, you're crazy, you're nuts, but it's interesting, and it does make sense what you're saying, the whole horizon thing and everything does kind of make sense. But you're crazy, because everybody knows the world's flat." And he says, "No, man, come on, just believe in me." So, for 2 years, he courted her. He courted her with the idea of the world being round. And those 2 years are represented by the 2 staves on this card, which is a measure of time, too. And he said, "Look, man, I know you don't believe in it, but give me a chance, give me a chance, give me a chance." And he's just, "Well, you're crazy, you're never going to make it, blah, blah, blah." And finally, like the Chinese water torture, Columbus digging into her brain day in, day out, worked. And she sold the crown jewels, and she sent them over to America, and they made a ton of money on Mexican gold and silver. So, what does that mean for the tarot? It means that the card represents the patience that you need to accomplish a project who nobody believes in. It means that you're going to be successful, you're going to have a successful project, but the challenge is just beginning. That you need to be very patient. You can't throw the towel. You got to follow it through. You got to make sure you accomplish the goals, and you got to believe in yourself. So that's the meaning of this card. Also means triumph, discovery, having an idea like nobody else. Just picture yourself as Christopher Columbus before he crossed the Atlantic, and you'll get the meaning of this card right away. That's the way I do it. Okay. On a very similar vein, the 3 of staves. This guy here, you can see his little sort of tartan thing. Well, he's trying also to cross some water, and he doesn't have the means to do it just yet. You can see little boats here, and obviously it's dawn or dusk because the water is tinted orange and red. And he's looking at the horizon, looking at the water, looking at the land on the other side of the water, saying, "I gotta get there. I gotta cross that ocean." And it's going to take some time. And in this case, the time that it's going to take is 3 months. 3 months, 3 years, 3 days. The 3rd month, which is March, or the 3rd day of any month. That's usually the time it takes. The same with the 2 of staves. 2 days, 2 years, 2 weeks, the second month, which is February, or the second of any month. And you usually do it progressively. You say to your client, look man, you're going to, let's say the client says, am I going to be successful in my business endeavor? And they pull one of these two cards, 3 or 2 of the 3 or the 2 of staves, and you say, look man, if you're not successful in 3 days, it's going to take you 3 weeks. If you're not successful in 3 weeks, it's going to take you 3 months. If you're not successful in 3 months, you will be successful in 3 years. That's the way you handle that. The answer to that question, which takes us to the 4 staves. I didn't organize these. Oh, look at that beautiful Jewish wedding. These two guys are about to break the glass, and they're looking at all the guests on the wedding. They're gonna have a wedding cake. Okay, this is the wedding, kids and ladies and gentlemen. This is a wedding. 4 staves. Do not be confused. This is a picture of a wedding. You are getting married. Now let's apply the wedding card to something that has nothing to do with a wedding. Let's say I'm having problems at work. What can I do about it? They pull out that card. Oh, well, you got to make a compromise for a long-term compromise. Let's say another question could be my mother's health. They pull out the wedding card. Your mother is it's a positive card, so it's going to be the health as well. But she is also getting in touch with or needing the support of daddy, of the father, because a wedding is always 2 people involved, the man and the woman, or in this case, San Francisco, the man and the man, and the woman and the woman. There's always 2 people for the wedding, and it's the union of those 2 people that makes them strong. So the wedding card, it's about unity, it's about compromise, it's about making things well through compromise, it's about fulfilling vows, it's about making sure that the things you say and do get done. The wedding is primarily a compromise. Okay, that's the 4 of staves. Let's go to the 5. After the wedding, let's just all fight each other and beat the shit out of each other with a bunch of sticks. Conflict, like all the 5s in the deck, the 5 of staves represents conflict, agitation, fights, usually between more than one person. It's a group of people involved. Family that is dysfunctional, people fighting each other for whatever reason, and there's no clear winner in this fight. There's not one person who says, I'm the victor. No. It's just everybody comes out hurt, wasted, fucked up. So 5 of staves is some type of conflict, fight, unpleasant surprises. Now, this is really interesting in the tarot. The 4 of staves, which is, by the way, the symbol is a square, right? The 4 of staves represents the wedding. You've already decided to get married, you're getting married, you make a compromise. The 6 of staves, on the other hand, represents what happens before the wedding, which is the compromise for the wedding, or on the way to the wedding, or making a compromise to marry. Okay? This guy just gave his girlfriend the ring. He's coming in with a white horse and the wreath on his thing, and there's a congregation that is going to meet her at her parents' house, where he is going to kidnap her. That was the ancient medieval way to marry a girl, is you went with a horse. You got on a horse. They still do it out here in this town. They still, when you ask for a girl's hand for the family, you have to come in a horse. and usually a white horse representing purity, I guess. And that's what this guy's. That's why he's got a little, crown of laurels and the wreath on his staff, and the horse is all dressed up, and they're all very happy, and he's going to ask for somebody's hand in marriage. So again, that is previous to the wedding, but it also represents the same kind of the same vein as the wedding, a marriage, getting together with somebody, making a compromise, etc., etc., etc. Again, these are positive cards. These are good cards. These are cards that are going to represent good luck. How's my economy going to work? You're making a long-time economic compromise that's going to be favorable to you. Okay? So here's the thing about the tarot. The tarot cards have very specific meanings, but those meanings could be extended or applied to answer a variety of different questions that can be asked by the client, and we'll go more into that when we do the Octopus Tarot spread, or the Octopus spread, or the Pulpo spread. Okay, so 6. Okay, 7. 7 is staff. What is this guy doing? He's fighting, isn't he? See that? You get married, you fight. You get married, you fight. You get married, you fight. It's just the way it is. Why do people do it? This guy is fighting against a massively superior force. He is fighting a group of people. Obviously, the guy fighting is the client, and he is defending. A key word here is defending. He's a defender. He is defending himself, or herself, if she's a woman, against a concisive and planned attack or assault by a group of people. Now, let's try to fix this so that you can understand the meaning on another level or another aspect. Let's say that the question is, how is my kid going to do in school? Well, your kid has a lot of enemies in school. There's a lot of people that don't like your kid in school, and they're constantly bullying him and giving him a hard time. Is my business going to be successful? You have a lot of enemies that want your business, that want to take your business. It's a lot of, basically enemies is what the card represents primarily, mostly. Okay? The 5, 6, 7, 8 of staves. Okay? Now, these sticks are falling from someplace, they're falling out of someplace, they're falling into someplace, and they represent the movement or the undesired movement of a person or a thing from one place to another. Usually the 8 of staves means that somebody has to go somewhere they don't really want to go, Get busted for weed, you're going to jail. Your parents kicked you out of the house. Your wife and you fought, and you have to go and sleep in your mother's house. That type of event, and it's usually an unsuspected or an undesired surprise. It's something that is happening in spite of you and in spite of what you would like to happen. It is not a positive card; it is a negative card, because it represents the falling down of the sticks. The sticks are falling, and they're causing havoc in their path. Okay, so that's the 8. Take a look here at the 9. Now this guy's been through the battle. He's fought. He's made himself victorious because he's still standing. But he's wounded, he's hurt, and his wounds have not yet healed. He's still kind of like, he's still got a bandage on his head. He's had taken the bandage off, which means that it still hurts him. And basically that's what the card means. It means you've been hurt, you've been damaged, you've been through a fight or some type of conflict, and you survived it, you became victorious in it, but you were hurt by it, and you still haven't healed your wounds from that fight. 99% of the time it has to do with something that happened with your couple, couple fights. My hubby said that I was a bitch. Okay, well, it hurts your feelings, it hurts you inside, and you can't really do much about it because the fight's over, and you took your, blows, and you survived the blows, and the relationship's still going on, but you're not really happy about it because you feel that this guy really fucked you over, and there's no payback for you. You're just gonna wait until the next conflict arises. Okay, so the it is a positive card actually, because it means healing too. It means that you're being healed by time of your wounds, but there's still a little resentment in that. There's still a little bit of wow, shit, those guys really beat the shit out of me, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't really lose because I'm still standing, but it hurt. So the card means you've been hurt. Now, most of these cards are represented by the medieval times, and in medieval times, all the names like Smith, baker, butcher, candle maker, all the last names that we have in modern days, in English, English and German mostly, but also in Spanish and French, have to do with professions, with trades, because you were known by your first name and then by your trade. There was no last names, it was just first names and trades. So the trade became the last name. Of all the trades in the Middle Ages and beyond and before, one of the least rentable or the least successful trades was woodsman, or let's say wood chopper. These guys had to go all day into the woods, chop some trees, bring them back into town, and sell them for peanuts. There was so many forests in Europe in those days that it was very easy to grab an axe, go into the woods, chop wood, bring it back into town and sell it. It was just an easy thing to do, so it was not very well paid, and you worked really fucking hard to bring all. You go and do it sometime. Go out there and chop some wood, and you're gonna see what hard work really is. And these guys did all the work, brought the wood into town, and got literally, a few cents for their work. So it was like slaves. There was no woodcutters mafia in Europe at that time because there was too many forests and too many trees. So it was too easy to go do it and make money out of it. But and somehow, the folks that did it worked like slaves. They worked really, really hard for very little. And that's the meaning of this card. It means you're working very, very hard for a very small reward. There is a reward and there is work. Am I going to find work? Well, yes, you are, but you're going to be working, 12-hour shifts for, minimum wage. You're a wage slave. You're basically, you're being enslaved economically by something. Or, in the case of a relationship, you're being enslaved by somebody that does not appreciate the efforts that you make in the relationship. Does my girlfriend love me? Well, no, she doesn't. She's using you, man. She's, working the shit out of you and not giving you anything. What does my girlfriend feel for me? Oh, well, she feels that she works like a fracking bitch, like a fucking slave, and I don't do anything for her except, give her a little bit of man milk. Man milk. Anyways, slavery is the kind of, and it's a voluntary. Here's another very important element. This guy is not chained. This guy is doing the work because he feels he has to, or because he feels that he's going to get some reward out of it. So it's the voluntary slavery. None of those fools that work at McDonald's or that work at, gas stations really want to lose their jobs. They're all very happy to have jobs. Walmart came down to Mexico. Man, people were lining up to get jobs out there, even though they knew that the wages were going to be shit. And why? Because there's no work. So they rather work for shit money than not work. And that's what this card means. It means, you're working for shit money, but you'll get some work, so go at it. All right. And that's the end of the numbered cards. And now we go into the section where we discuss the people cards of the suit of staves. And as you know, I like to always discuss first what kind of people these are. Now, as an element, fire is volatile. And these are people of the element of fire. Their sign is usually going to be Aries, Sagittarius, Leo, fire signs. These people are somehow volatile, proud, strong, fierce, hardworking, stubborn, like fire. Just think of these people as firecrackers. They're trustworthy. Fire is trustworthy. You can look. I'll show you. You can take fire and control it. If you know how to handle it. If you don't know how to handle it, you can get out of hand pretty fast. And the element of fire, well, it's supposedly the one that's going to get us into the final judgment, as water did in some occasion before the flood. So, volatile people, but temperamental people too. They're like, they get on their nerves easy. Why did I get the queen here? Get the queen out. But good people, always, always helpful. Their main thing, because they are roots, is family. What they want above everything is to be tied into taking care of the family and doing family things. And then usually as family members, as mother and father, they are very judgmental, very stern, but very just, very kind, very observant. As children, they are usually obedient, they're sweet, strong-headed, stubborn. Staves are stubborn people. Okay, so let's take a look at who they are and what they're doing here. Okay, let's go with my little girly page of staves. Now, one of the exercises that you will be doing in the tarot is to choose one card from the minor arcana and one card from the major arcana that represents your personality, your deeper person, the deeper person you really are. When I did mine, I came out as this little girl. I was like, fuck, man. I didn't get it like, Knight of Swords or something. No, I had to be the frackin' Page of Wands, which means that in my heart, I am a child. I have a child-like personality, because Page can be a little girl or a child. Choose and pick. I'd rather be a child than a little girl, Nothing against girls, I love them, but I don't want to be one. I'd rather hug them and kiss them than be one. Karma. I almost guarantee you that in my next lifetime, because I'm such a frackin', old coot, I'll probably be a young little girl, like the ones I like to look at in the parks. Just karma. Okay, so in my soul, in my spirit, the card that I pulled out for myself was this one, this wand of the Page of Wands. And this young woman or child is kind of like, a very dreamlike, always looking upwards, hopeful, optimistic, brave, honest, clear-headed person that is always, looking how to make things better, how to, better him or herself. Almost always. Usually they're redheads or, light brown hair, light skin. Could also be dark-skinned people. Could also be, dark-skinned people. But usually they're redheads or brown skin or light brown hair. This person here, she's a dreamer. She's got dreams in her head. She's got these ideas and visions, like Christopher Columbus. She wants to discover America, And she's very sensible, down to earth, because the roots are always rooted on the earth. But strong, volatile, tempered person. Okay. Now, when I went into the Knight of Cups, I told you that the most desirable man for a woman would be the Knight of Cups. The second most desirable man for a woman would be this guy, the Knight of Wands. Maybe he's not rich, maybe he's not all-powerful, maybe he's not the most romantic person in the world, but he is honest, he is hardworking, he is dedicated to family and family ties. He is a seriously good person that has a seriously good attitude towards everything he does. Now, Staves have these, they don't bend, they break. So this guy is not, he's a very stubborn guy, he doesn't change his mind easily. He's very sure of himself, and that's part of the problem, but also part of the good thing. He's like the type of guy that, I'll give you a good example of a Knight of Wands. This is the guy that has went to college, studied very hard to be a doctor, discovered that marijuana is one of the greatest medicines, but he is so tied into the way things are done that he's not going to utilize it as a remedy. He's not doing anything wrong. He's actually going by the book. But he's kind of stiffly not doing what could be done to better people's lives because he likes, this is the typical really good Christian man that carries the cross and that he does everything that the Bible says you must do, but he doesn't really like gays and lesbians, and he doesn't really like, he doesn't really appreciate Muslims, for instance. So he's a good guy, he's not a bad guy, he's not going to kill anybody because that's in the Bible, you shall not kill. But he's this intolerant attitude towards what he doesn't like that makes it a little bit less better than what it could be. Okay? He's not an open-minded guy. He's a really square, but square in a good way. He's not a bad square. He's a good square. Square in a bad way would be like coins or swords, and we'll go into that. Well, swords I've already gone into, but the coins, it's like he's materialist, SOB. He'll do anything for money. Okay. So, of the queens, probably the best queen and king to have, the best mother and father to have, are these two because they represent family. I mean, Staves represent the family man, the family woman, the woman that spends all her time with this is the soccer mom per excellence. This is a member of the PTA. This is the soccer mom. She doesn't work. She stays at home, cleans house, and makes sure that the children are well fed. She depends a lot on her husband to make things well. When she's a single mom, she is the perfect single mom, the one that works and does, but always have time for her kids. She puts family first. That's her thing. The sunflower here means that she is a solar being. She's a being of light. The negative aspect of the soccer mom, well, we all know it. We all know it well. I've had my run-ins with soccer moms more than once in my life, man. They just don't appreciate it when you're really in love with their children. That's just the way it is. I don't blame them. But you can't blame them for being a soccer mom. Being a soccer mom is a wonderful thing. It's a great thing. I wish there was more soccer moms in the world, honestly. Again, intolerance, stubbornness, thick-headedness, that's the elements that you don't like about the soccer moms. That's the elements that you don't like about the Queen of Staves. And last but not least, our dear friend, the King of Staves. Now this guy, he's the Fred Flintstone. He's this really nice dad that, is always thinking about his kids, and he's always taking them to, the football match, and he's making sure that he's, goes to the spelling bees with his daughter and all that shit. But, man, you just cross him and he's going to come down on you like a ton of bricks. He's just, he's not somebody to be fooled with, because he's so straight, so stubborn, so on what he's doing, that he's not going to vary an inch from what the game plan is for his family. It's actually a great thing to have. He's a great dad to have, because he's loving, he's tender, he's strong, he's wonderful, but man, he can stifle your creative habits, Daddy, I want to get a tattoo. Fuck no, fuck you. Daddy, I want to marry a black guy. No, you're not. So, there's no evolution with these guys. These guys are where they are, and they're rooted to that spot and fiery about defending the status quo for their families. They can also be creative, like Christopher Columbus, but usually on a very kind of like rooted kind of way. They're not going to be this mad creative spirit. They're going to be a very rooted person. So that's the Suit of Staves. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you had a good time watching it. The Spanish language videos go a little bit more in depth into each card, especially the major arcana, because I took more time to do them. You're welcome to want to watch them. I eventually, at some point, if I have a lot of time in my hands, which probably will happen never, I'll try to get some subtitles, English subtitles for the Spanish videos, Spanish subtitles for the English videos. See if you guys want to watch those too, but it's pretty much the same information. It doesn't vary that much from one video to the next. That's it for today. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. Have a wonderful, blessed day. I'll share this with you as a parting shot. Right now, particularly in my life, is one of the hardest times I've been through, economically and physically and emotionally. There's a lot of shit going on. I'm not going to go into what's going on, because I'll make some other videos on Chintamani Ashram live TV show, reality show, where you can more or less gouge why I'm going through all this shit. But I wanted to share that with you, because here I am sharing this tarot information with you, although in my heart I got some other things to deal with. And that's the essence of tarot. If you sit down to read for folks, you got to get your problems out of your head. You can't bring your shit into the readings. You got to black it out, get it out of the way, focus on the client. If you're a tarot reader, you got clients who depend on you to do your job really well. Just like any doctor, any physician, any nurse that has to deal with public, it's the same thing with a tarot reader. You cannot worry about yourself when you're doing that for them. And I wanted to share that with you, because here we are. We're going into another video on this tarot shop, tarot business, and It doesn't vary. It doesn't change when we have emotional problems. Okay? That was the parting shot. God bless. Wonderful, blessed day.